Texas A&M's offense is explosive. That's the best way you could describe this offense in 2025. Unlike what we saw during the Jimbo Fisher era, unlike what we saw in year one with Mike Elko, where they only completed 8 passes of 20 plus yards or more, they actually surpassed that by week 2 of the 2025 season. Texas A&M's offense has been explosive, averaging 36 points per game. We can credit Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver, the 2 transfer additions, paired with Marcel Reed's development in year 2 of the Colin Klein system. But I want to take all of these ingredients and lump it into answering the question of what has changed with this offense. Because if you were to tell me that Texas A&M was capable of dropping 40 points in South Bend, I would have called you crazy. And when I started to think about it more, I just thought of the nightmare that these defensive coordinators are put in when facing this Texas A&M offense. And I'm going to walk you through one of Colin Klein's base sets and the predicament that these defensive coordinators have to handle on a week-to-week basis. Now, is this a complete deep dive into the Colin Klein system and what are some of the plays he runs? No, this is more to talk about the philosophy that this offense brings to the table that defensive coordinators have to handle. But with that in mind, this is From Snap to Whistle Football. We talk about everything from the snap all the way to the whistle of any given play. So if you love football, you've come to the right place. Any like, comment, or sub across the board is truly appreciated. But let's dive into the video. So we talked about KC and we talked about Mario Craver and then Marcel Reed, but we also have to talk about Le'Veon Moss, who I think is one of the most underappreciated running backs in the entire country. We'll talk about Ruben Owens. We'll talk about Morrow, the true freshman, Amari Daniels. Then you have the offensive line that has a ton of seniority. And then you have multiple different archetypes on the tight end room. The biggest theme that you'll see outside of really the wide receivers, surprisingly, is different archetypes from each position group. And I think it's most seen with the running backs. And these different archetypes present different challenges when they're on the football field. Le'Veon Moss refuses to take a tackle for loss. He's the most physical runner out of the 4 running backs that we're going to talk about, and he's a north-south runner. His contact balance is ridiculous. He's able to break off big runs. He has good acceleration. He has good vision, and he is very much an NFL running back. Ruben Owens, on the other hand, is more of a shifty back. Now, he has grown and developed over the past couple of weeks. You could see him finally getting a little bit more comfortable. One of the challenges he had as a true freshman was letting the blocks develop in front of him. He would go too fast and not let the hole actually open up. You could see him grow and develop. The past game against Mississippi State, I think he ran for 147 yards. He brings speed. He brings agility. He brings a different type of gear of home run acceleration that you're not going to see with a guy like Le'Veon Moss. Not to mention, he's definitely more of the pass catching back. Jamarion Morrow is also another home run hitter. He's been growing in his snap count and continuously keeps getting reps because when he's on the football field and he's given the ball, it's a home run waiting to happen. He continues to make positive plays. So now we're talking about 2 explosive backs, a power back, and now we have a pass catching back that could also pass block in Amari Daniels. Amari Daniels got a ton of reps last year due to the running back injuries to Le'Veon Moss. Ruben Owens happened before the season, and Amari's an all-around back. He's going to come in on a lot of pass sets, and he's a great blocker. And let's not forget, Marcel Reed's able to run the football as well. Now, that alone presents its own challenges. Just so many guys that can create a lot with their legs is a nightmare for most defensive coordinators. But we know these archetypes. That doesn't make the offense special. We could talk about how they can have all these different guys to run the football, but what does it matter if they just stack the box? That's what makes this offense so much more different than 2024. You have the guys on the outside. You have Mario Craver with his insane contact balance and acceleration downfield. You have Casey Concepcion, who's more than likely going to play a slot role at the NFL level, but he seems to have the catch radius of a 6'5" wide receiver, and he himself is a playmaker with the ball in his hand. So we're going to walk through what I would say is the most common set that you're going to see in a Colin Klein offense, which is 12 personnel. 12 personnel is going to have 1 running back and 2 tight ends. And I'm going to tell you why he loves to sit in this personnel. First thing, you're going to see the worst draw up of 12 personnel that you're ever going to see in your life, but never said I was an artist. So usually you may have a tight end that's going to be on the ball and then one slightly off the ball. Pretty standard. You're going to have Marcel Reed, number 10. We're going to do Le'Veon Moss, for example. And then out wide, we're going to put KC at number 7 and Mario Craver at number 1. I'm just doing the jersey numbers so you know the specific player. We could do the X or the Z. I don't really care at this point. This alone presents its own challenges. Take away number 7 and number 1. That alone presents its own challenges because you have to match personnel. We talked about it. If you go watch my Tennessee video around, I believe, the veer and shoot and the wide splits and the challenge that brings, it's more to the personnel that you have to invest your time and honestly manpower with. If you want to be able to match up with the blockers with the wide splits, you need to put more guys into the box. If you put more guys into the box, that's when you see the explosion from the Tennessee passing game, because there's no way that these backers are going to be able to get all the way out wide while also committing to the run, unless you have very good corners. In a different style, Colin Klein is going to bring in more blockers and have 7 potential guys at any given time. Now, he loves throwing to the tight ends, but these are also very capable blockers. So for sake of argument, we're going to do a 4-3 defense, and I would do a different color if I had the marker to do so. And let's say we do a 2-high safety with about 4 or 5 yards off the line of scrimmage for these corners. This is probably going to be the most base set. You're going to see this in Madden. It's not going to be the most realistic. I'm talking about the philosophy here, the more decisions that these defensive coordinators have to make. And this is going to be traditionally a 2-high shell. That's what they're going to usually present. Bring one guy in, send one guy over the top, or drop back both of them. In psychotic cases, you bring both of them in for a blitz. I'm talking to you, Brent Venables, and dropping the backer into a deep third. That's for another day. So right here, you are matching up mano y mano. And you may think, well, we have 7 right here. That's going to be great. We have 7. That's going to stop the 7 blockers. We're going to match up eye for an eye. We're going to win that battle. I trust my defense. And we're going to have 4 guys in the secondary to potentially deal with Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion. We have the manpower exactly where we want them. The problem, that guy right there. Marcel Reed's going to be a problem because he's always going to be a threat with his legs. If you want all of these guys to come down and crash and try to physically get to Le'Veon Moss, because it's going to take 1 to 2, even 3 players to get him down, why not just pull it with a guy like Marcel Reed? And your natural response, logically, may just be, we're going to bring in this safety down. He's going to roll over the top. And now we're going to have 8 guys in this box. And now we're going to be able to match up with all the guys in this rushing attack. And that's understandable. That's logical. But when we rush and we bring down the strong side safety, what do we have right here? Exactly what makes this offense different than in 2024. They were okay, man coverage, off zone. They were okay with this matchup when it was Noah Thomas, Ja'Day Walker, Barber, all these different guys. They were fine with living in that matchup. Even a young Terry Bussey that had to go play running back for the last game of the season. They were okay with this. Primarily because when you don't have that threat of separation, and not in the sense of being this route runner, but more to the ability that I have a third gear that you do not have. In the Notre Dame game, I think of one play with Casey that was an actual overthrow by Marcel Reed, which is something common you'll see on tape, was this decel to excel. Coming off the line of scrimmage, still fast, but having that extra burner to create separation. Not to mention, both of these wide receivers are dynamic enough in their own right in terms of just creating separation through their routes. They're dynamic route runners, to say the least. So when we're in this scenario, and maybe it's man coverage on each side, safety's going to play single high, A&M's licking their chops. That's exactly what they wanted. Because as much as you have this entire box, mano y mano, even in this specific advantage, you're going to have 8 guys in the box. They are going to take the shots vertically. They weren't doing that last year. They weren't. So logically, if we were to say, maybe they go in the 2-high shell. We can't get beat over the top. We're going to force A&M to beat us either over the middle, or we're going to force them to play zone coverage, or we're going to force them have to be methodical throwing the football. Logical, right? I don't even hate that idea. We're going to drop these two safeties back. Our safeties are going to play, or our corners, better said, are going to drop back here. Our corners are going to drop back here. And we're going to spread out a little bit. We're going to keep our backers. Maybe even this is a hybrid safety situation. We're going to spread it out. And this whole middle area of the field, we'll see if Marcel can throw it. Because the most difficult throw a quarterback can make is over the middle. It's the most dangerous. We know that Marcel likes to overthrow the ball. Maybe he can't hit a crosser. That's where they get you as well. Because when we talk about Connor Wigman, and I promise I'll get to the point. When we talk about Connor Wigman and what he looks like as a quarterback for Texas A&M after the Jimbo Fisher era, those small stints that we saw, he excelled against zone coverage, which Missouri ran a ton of last year, but also he struggled a ton against man coverage and crossing routes. Statistically, I don't have them on hand, but statistically, he was one of the worst quarterbacks when it came to the intermediate and over the middle throws last season. One of the best routes that I would say guys like Colin Klein love to cook up is some of these crossing routes with these fast wide receivers. It's what got him into range to go win the game against Notre Dame, was a crossing route with Craver. It's because this is slightly manageable when we're talking about, I don't know, a static offense. What in God's green earth are you supposed to do when you get Casey Concepcion moving this way or Mario Craver moving this way, and they can just cross over the middle with their speed, and then you have one breaking over the top? These safeties are in a nightmare situation because now you get to attack these linebackers. Logically, like I said, you put in a hybrid safety. Okay, you're going to be a little bit lighter with this set, and then we run the middle with Le'Veon Moss. I hope this explains it. I understand I'm not the most, pretty with my, calling plays, I guess, or even just the play art, that's better said. But what I'm trying to articulate is it's a pick your poison. And I think, honestly, what's going to excel or limit Texas A&M is when we were talking about those deep throws with Marcel Reed. He hasn't been hitting them. Consistently, at least. A lot of them's been overthrown. Auburn, Mississippi State, great examples. We'll see against Florida. This is recorded, 5 days before Florida happens. That's going to make a huge difference, is if he can snap the ball, they roll a safety back, they roll one into the box because they're that worried about, and we've only talked about Le'Veon Moss. That's not even to account for the speed that you could change with your archetype that would change the personnel in front of you, because if you want the bigger guys that are a little bit slower but could tackle Moss, well, what if you go to the fast back that could break off on the outside? I'm saying if he's able to consistently throw the deep ball, then we go to the too high shell and it stays too high. Snap, give it to Le'Veon Moss. Snap, give it to Ruben Owens, Morrow, even Amari Daniels. This is the difference, is when you have Casey, when you have Craver, guys that actually threat vertically, it spaces out the offense, and now this is exactly what Colin Klein needs. When we're talking about last year, they were not able to push vertically. Like I said, 8 pass plays of 20 plus yards or more. I think part of that was the recurring door at quarterback, but I think part of it was they just didn't have the personnel, and that's what the transfer portal can do for you. I'll say this, I appreciate you if you're at this point in the video. Clearly, you gave me a chance to talk some football with you. And if I didn't earn your sub now, I'll earn it sooner or later. It would mean the world if you gave me a chance to talk some more football with you. But with that in mind, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you like this style of content, I know I've had plenty of people in my comments say, do more whiteboard work, do more of this, do more schematic talk, more philosophy talk with football. I love doing these videos. So if you like these, continue providing that support. It's the only way that I know that you'll like these types of videos, but I'll let you guys go and I'll see you guys next time.